What's going on, fam? We back. Another discussion here. Today we're going to talk about political correctness. More specifically, is it negatively impacting society? So, Carl, you tell me, what would be your definition of political correctness?
Verbiage that is not offensive to the masses. So there's certain terms and things that, or certain language that you would use that may offend the majority of people. So politically correct would be, let's try to avoid those type of phrases just to make everyone feel included and comfortable.
Okay, Brandon, you agree with that?
Yeah, pretty much the same. You want to pacify, right? To not ruffle any feathers. So I think captured it pretty well.
Okay. You know, when I looked up the history of the term, it was interesting because I had no idea where it initially came from.
Mm-hmm.
It started right after the Russian Revolution, I think 1917. And it was a way for the communist regime to keep people in place.
Mm-hmm.
So if you as a non-communist said something against me that I found offensive, then guess what? I can go ahead and suppress you by rules, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's funny that we go full circle because what I see now is it started with communists. It ended up in America in like the 70s and the 80s, they really started using it
Yeah.
more so as a political term.
Mhm.
So, you know, the liberals were, you know, ha ha ha, let's be politically correct. And, you know, the Republicans, the right, they used it more as a political tool. So I'm saying to myself, just like America does, we stole
Borrowed it.
we stole
Mm-hmm.
the term from the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
So now here we are yet again
Mm-hmm.
letting something infiltrate our society, which in my opinion, it does us no good. You know, the dictionary's term, it says agreeing with the idea that people should be careful not to use language or behavior in a way that could offend a particular group of people. So for me, political correctness is that's what birthed the cancel culture. If you
Absolutely.
ask me,
No, absolutely.
you know, because now being politically correct means can't really say what you want to say, you know? And I think to myself, we're supposed to be a free thinking people. We're supposed to be a free thinking country. So how did we get to this point? I mean, because I have to, you know, we're talking about pros and cons of political correctness. Is there anything, Brandon, that you can see that's an actual pro of political correctness?
I mean, it's a moving target right now, right? Because the definition in the landscape next year is going to be way different than now. Because I think just for the instance of, I'll take the pronoun example. You know, before that wasn't an issue. You were him. I'm him. You're him, right? But now that's a big deal now. So I think the political correctness would have been good in a reverse way, right? Because now it's a big issue with just the pronoun of what you're going for. But now you reverse that to back then, it wasn't an issue. So I think if we could kind of revert it back to, I don't know, 10, 15 years back, maybe that degree would have been effective. But now it's just kind of falling down the toilet.
But is it even needed? Like, for instance, talking about the pronoun thing. I have to be perfectly honest, and I'm ignorant to that. Is this something, Carl, in your organization, your place of employment, that they've made it almost like a mandate?
No, it's not. That hasn't happened yet.
Mhm.
I think that using that example though, and just kind of saying, dancing around the term and trying to figure out where we fit into it and how we have to navigate through it, it's really about controlling the narrative. It's been turned into something that people use to weaponize to control their own narrative. So,
Yeah.
using that example, Brandon, if a man puts a dress on and he says, "I identify as a woman, I'm she," and I say, "No, you're not a woman. You're a man with a dress on."
And that's
you're
not
canceled.
politically correct.
You're
Yeah,
canceled.
exactly.
But
That's not
then
politically correct. You have to address
and
need.
if you do it at work, if John has his pronoun is
Mhm.
she, her, and you don't address John in that term, I mean, are you at fault?
Yeah.
Do you get called on the
That's the way-
carpet to HR?
I get called to the carpet, but I don't have the freedom to call a spade a spade.
Mhm.
You can say, well, now at the same token, if I say I identify as a middle-aged white woman and I'm gonna change my name to Susan, and you, well, that's what are you doing? Again, it would say, oh, well, that's not politically correct. You're making fun of things. You're trying.
So
The
you
slippery
damned if you do,
slope.
you damned
Yeah,
if
it's
you
a
don't.
slippery slope.
So it's about the larger body now controlling their
Mhm.
own narrative, and just like you said with how it originated, it's about making and in our case in this country, the white supremacist population, it's making them comfortable. Anything that offends my comfort,
Yeah.
I can label politically incorrect, and I can cancel you, and I can sanction you, and I can do whatever I want to do because I need to be comfortable.
And
And
then
you see, the
set
crazy part
precedent.
is with 45, he has emboldened his people to where he's not politically correct. He says what the hell he wants to say, and they love that about him.
Mhm.
You know,
and we all know that probably every other word comes out of his mouth is a lie. So, to your point, Carl, it feeds into the narrative because one of the things that they try to say, and I'll list it as a pro only because this is what people say it was designed to do, is that stop the strong from abusing the weak.
True. Yeah.
But then, and on the flip side of that, what that tells me is that, you are almost giving folks the power to victimize themselves and say, "Hey, I'm a victim because you're offending me. You trying to hold me down." And it is a weapon to promote.
Yeah, it can be.
I think too. It's a weapon to, promote the decency of behavior. When simple courtesy has failed, because what I'll say is, for me, we don't have to be politically correct. I should be able to speak my mind on anything as long as I bring it to you in a respectful way. I ain't got to say, "Hey, you," if you're gay, Brandon. I ain't got to say, "Hey, F word."
Yeah. No.
I can say,
Be
"Hey,
respectable, courteous. Yeah.
you gay," and I don't necessarily agree with that. So hey, let's just agree to disagree.
But you know why I challenge that? Just thinking about this country, right?
Mhm.
We have our basic rights, and isn't one of them freedom of speech? And I feel like the agenda of politically correctness today just about infringes right upon that. Because take the gayness example you were just using with me. If you wanted to use whatever derogatory term, you do have the right to say what you want to say, essentially. I might take it the wrong way, but that's, what we were built upon, freedom of speech.
So I want to give a rudimentary example because I was thinking about this. So Eugene and I are a little bit older than Brandon. Everybody knows that.
Just a little bit.
So let's go back to our middle school days. 12, 13 years old. We did what, some people call it playing the dozens. We called it capping.
Yes.
Okay. So we talking about each other, and inevitably, your mama joke is gonna come up.
Yeah.
Your mama hair is so short, and I can see what she's thinking. That kind of stuff. So in a group, you might go around, the circle or whatever, and you say, well, what about your mama? Somebody might say, don't talk about his mama. His mama dead. As a group collective, we would say, oh, my fault. And we would stop.
Yep.
That's a societal norm. We know what boundaries not to cross.
Agreed.
And we controlled each other. If that person was to persist, I don't care his mama dead. Now, the group as a collective is going to take care of that individual. The person who's offended, they might not even get involved because everybody else is going to control what's going on here. No, we don't do that. Those are societal norms. That's what we used to do. Now it's come to the point where I can't even say, well, we don't do that. That's not right. So we're going to protect your feelings up to the point where you go out in society to feel comfortable. And like you said, anybody can call you anything at this point.
Yep.
once you become an adult, because you from 12 to 21, everybody's tried to make you feel comfortable and coddled and you're special and you're great and this that.
Yeah,
Now you
that's
go
a
out in the
recipe
real
for
world
disaster.
and exactly.
And that's the thing, because it's a fine line that you have to walk.
Mhm.
You know, we can say what we want to privately,
Yeah.
but once you get outside of your four walls and you out here in these streets, then you have to watch what you
Yep,
say.
you better button it
Which
up.
again, you know, I think that we've gotten too soft. I mean, you know, everybody is offended to the point where some of our favorite comedians understand that they can't say certain things. They can't say the jokes they used to say
Yeah.
10, 15 years ago.
Could you imagine watching the Dave Chappelle show now?
No, and who was the guy at Seinfeld? Michael Richards, when he went on that rant. You know, you
Not in the
nigger, because he got
Yeah.
mad because somebody was heckling him.
Mhm.
Career cut off.
Yep.
You know, but I think when stuff like that happens, you see that person for who they really are.
Mhm.
You know, and I think naturally we're not bad people,
No, we're humans.
but don't tell me I don't have the right to say what I want to say.
Yeah, because
based upon the Constitution.
Yeah, you do have the
have
right.
freedom
Yeah.
of speech.
Mhm.
I just say we have to be respectful when we voice our opinion. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be an emotional outburst or anything like that. But you know, you got to take into account, like Carl said, you know, back in the day, okay, man, calm down.
Mhm.
You know, and that was that. Because the next day it might be me that somebody is getting on, and then my friends would jump in, so on and
Yeah,
so
exactly.
forth. You know, I think it's something that we have to seriously consider whether or not it's conducive to us being a successful society. You know, we got problems upon problems upon
Oh, yeah.
problems. But for the powers that be and the whole political correctness term, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's needed. You know, because again, it's having a very detrimental effect on the way that we move, especially on the kids coming up. You know, my kids now, they don't know anything about back in the day when we was capping it. You say something, no, Dad, you can't. That's mean.
Yeah, I gotta.
And I've got the same thing. It's like, you can't say that. And I'm saying, I'm like, what can I? What do you mean I can't say that?
Mhm. And a prime example where you can kind of see the landscape. I'm sure you guys heard of Call of Duty. Younger audience will pick up on that. You played that maybe a decade ago. You know, you're playing online. You got your headset. You can say whatever you want to say, right? Now, I'm not going to repeat the stuff I've heard, but just know if you played in a Call of Duty game online, you heard some awful things said to you playing that game. You know, N-bombs, F-bombs, hard R on the ends, you know, all types of, you know.
Why they know that?
Sometimes they just say they knew it through your voice, you know. But
Well, we can't say it about you, Brandon, because
no. Well, I'm just generally speaking, you know. But you know, the people will let loose on that game. The same as the captain back then. Call of Duty had it, and it got awful. And today, if you play nowadays, they have, you know, AI censorship and all that. So if you even have thought to say something bad, you're banned. You know. So again, you have the people of the audience that are like, I can't even say that. I can't say nothing.
So you done
know?
paid your money to get the game. You done paid your money to subscribe to play it online.
But don't you say nothing too bad.
Okay.
Because
But 10 years ago, you could have had a clan fest in there.
I rode past a football field the other day, and it was some little kids out there practicing, and I saw the coaches working with the kids. And I was in the car with my wife, and I said, you know, I could never coach football now. And she was like, why? And I'm like, I don't know how. I don't know how to, I wouldn't know what to say.
Gosh darn it.
I wouldn't know how to talk to, you know, when I played sports coming up, hey, sit down, you scrub. You're not, I mean, you know, and you took it, you internalized it. Did it feel like a punch in the throat? Yes. But what did you do?
You worked harder.
I got to go get better.
Yep.
Because I'm not going to be called a scrub.
Just some masculine character building. That's it.
Now?
Don't do that nowadays.
Can't do it now. I've got everybody, you know, that whole everybody gets a trophy, everybody's somebody. And again, societal norms.
Yeah, because that's the politically correct thing to make everyone feel like a winner. But we all know, look at the Olympics, look at the NBA, NFL, it's not the case.
It's not the case. And you got kids, all these AAUs and all this other kind of stuff. Oh, we're going to make your son a star. Oh, you got the little girls running track 11 months out the year. And you know she not going to get no better. You know Johnny is playing basketball and he's not good. He's not good.
But you can't tell him that
But you can't tell him.
And
can't
if you
say
do,
that.
then you get reported. Parents start saying, hey, he's talking to my child. He's hurting my child's feelings. Okay, but ain't that a part of life? Your feelings are going to get hurt.
You as a parent should be hurting your child's feelings.
I agree.
But again, too, on the parental side, you inject this political correctness into that. Nowadays, I don't even know. Can you whoop your kids now? I don't think you can. I got whoopings coming up.
Says
Politically
who?
correctness says no.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm going to stop right there.
Don't be calling the people on me.
Well, you know I'm getting at.
No, I understand completely,
yeah.
but you know,
it's,
I
again,
think
that
that
same agenda.
if you're teaching your kids about being politically correct, no offense, but I think what you're doing, you're setting them up for failure. You know, because they're going to go out and think that, you know, people can't say certain things to them, and I'm sorry that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I hate to get, you know, spiritual, but we all know that one of the lines we heard coming up was they talked about Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So
Horribly.
guess what?
Mm-hmm.
They talked about him.
And
He was perfection.
And what did they do to him?
Exactly. So what do you think, you know, somebody saying some harsh words to me, that's not going to stop me. All my feelings are hurt. Let me go sit over here in the corner. And, you know, I think, quite honestly, I think it's natural for us to push back on, you know, political correctness because, again, it creates a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And especially now with, you know, Carl, to your point about white supremacists, because, my God, you know, I can say what I want to, but whatever consequences come behind it, it shouldn't be something that somebody has created, a set of rules.
Yeah. And
you know, because if I'm at work and I say something offensive to somebody, depending upon what it is, it could be a joke that I'm telling to you.
Mm-hmm.
But if another coworker overhears it, then guess what? They can go to HR and report me and I can get in trouble. And it's a joke between you and I, but you and I have a friendship. We have an understanding. We have a bond.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what gets me, because ultimately, I think that's probably what led to this whole DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusiveness.
And that's a hot topic.
Right. And that's not going the way they wanted it to go.
No.
So I want to jump in real quick because I'm glad you segued to that. Two things real quick. That has happened to me before where I was telling a joke and someone overheard it and they went to HR.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And the person that went to HR was trying to, it was a personal attack, but
Understand
what have you. But
Mhm.
but I learned a lesson from that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Other thing, I want to read a quote about, because if you've been watching the news or paying attention, you're talking about DEI. We know that Florida has banned all DEI programs in higher education.
DEI needs to die. That's what's going around.
So I want to read this quote. Higher education must return to its essential foundations of academic integrity and the pursuit of knowledge instead of being corrupted by disruptive ideologies. These actions today, and this is when it was passed, ensure that we will not spend taxpayer money supporting DEI and radical indoctrination that promotes division in our society. That quote is from the Florida Commissioner of Education, Manny Diaz.
So Mr. Diaz is risen above.
Pot meets kettle?
No, he's risen above his ethnicity. So
educating someone about our diversiveness and our different experiences is divisive. This is what I mean by controlling the narrative.
Yeah.
But he is a product.
And you remember when America used to be called a melting pot?
Okay.
Forgot about that one.
Okay.
and someone that I admire through my higher education journeys said they would rather refer to it as a salad bowl. And with in a melting pot, everything becomes one.
Yeah,
but in a salad bowl, you still have your individual elements,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes up one collective, meal. Now, that's fine. I mean, I like that analogy as well because we still have our individuality in that case. What they want to say is, in saying get rid of DEI, is the melting pot example. We're all Americans, but we have diverse experiences.
Oh yeah, diverse histories.
And here's the thing too. I have a a friend of mine. We played pickup football back in college. We're playing. Ground's kind of slippery. We're on opposite teams. He plants. I go to hit him with a forearm because I'm violent like that. So he slipped. My forearm, instead of hitting him in the chest, hit him in the mouth. He immediately jumps up and looks at me like, okay, we about to go. Because, I mean, that's your first reaction. Somebody hits you in the mouth,
Yep.
My fault, Okay, so of course we got past it.
Mm-hmm.
That was 30 plus years ago. To this day, he'll tell that story. Now, when he tells the story, sometimes I feel uncomfortable because that's my friend. I didn't mean to do it. I apologize. We all know what happened.
Yeah.
But it's just not comfortable when you say, yeah, he hit me in the mouth.
Yeah, he bust my lip. Yeah, I get it.
And it's like, I have no right to tell him, stop telling that story. That was his experience. He got hit in the mouth. It hurt. I can't say, hey man, I don't like you when you tell that story. Don't say that.
It make me feel bad.
It make me feel bad.
There you go. I was going for that, but
I have no right to do that. So it's the same thing here.
But nowadays, feelings, that's the elephant in the room now. You cannot hurt people's feelings. I disagree with that, but look at the agenda that we're seeing nowadays. Feelings are a huge proportion of everything that's directed right now.
You can't hurt whose feelings?
Anybody's. You can't hurt the listeners. You can't hurt the listeners' feelings, Carl.
No.
You can't.
Whose feelings? Whose feelings? Are there feelings that are more important than others?
See, they'll say you can't hurt their feelings, and I don't know who there is, so I can't give you that answer.
But here's the thing, and this is another term that's come out, my truth.
Ooh.
If I tell my truth and it hurts your feelings, do I now have to suppress my truth? Won't that hurt my feelings?
But this is the part with political correctness that no one dives into that argument because it never gets past that point.
Well, and I think that is one of the things that has led to this oversensitivity of our society now.
Once feelings have been hurt,
right? And if I hurt your feelings and you tell me you hurt my feelings, okay, as an adult, what am I supposed to do? I apologize.
Yeah, and life goes on.
Exactly. But even if I do apologize and you still feel like that's not enough, then here you get to go a step further and tell somebody or go on social media and this, that, and the third. And it's like, okay, dude, I apologize. So that's where we lost it because back in the day, to your point, Carl, you apologize. Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it should have been over. Yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry. And
but now we have set people if someone's offended, then now they're in the victim. The victim closet.
Yeah, and they become a martyr.
Exactly. I'm a victim.
Yep.
You did this to me. And now all of a sudden there's a movement. Huh?
And that's where Carl, that's where they have to tell their truth that they have been victimized because their feelings have been hurt.
Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, those people can tell their truth. They were physically harmed. It was some damage that was done to them.
Did he? Yeah.
Throw that in the pot.
Since we
on the topic.
Bring more current.
There you go.
Take that. But those people people that men and women who have endured abuse in the past and molestation, all that. Okay, I get it. You want to part of your therapy, part of your catharsis is you want to get it out. I get it. If you come to me and say, they called me ugly when I was in fourth grade and now you a supermodel. Sis, get over it. Who called you ugly? The kid that's working at McDonald's and now you work and you still, if you got to deal with that, you got to deal with that on your own. That's fine. It may have hurt you and I can't say that it didn't, but you got to work through that. But I can't say that, that person that did it at the time, they might not even remember. And if they did, it might have been just in, the same thing like capping or whatever. We, as young people, there are things that you have to endure and deal with. And like you said, kind of just go through that tough, rough, develop some tough
character building. Yeah.
There you go. But now it's like I can't. Everybody has to be inclusive, and everybody has. Come on, I want you to be my friend. And some people, I mean, everybody's not going to be everybody's friend.
So let me
Yeah.
throw this question out there at the end. Do you think it's possible for both of you guys that when people are saying I'm offended, this, that, and the third, that they could have agendas? Because when you talk about the Harvey Weinsteins, the Bill Cosbys, the Diddy's and stuff, you know, okay, fine. I'm not taking that away from you if it did indeed happen. But in some cases, people have gotten over it. But in other cases, people are, hey, this is a way for me to get some money. Let me go ahead and file a lawsuit.
Yeah, and that's why.
So that's what I mean by, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
agendas.
It's a yes and a no, because there will be one person, one party that is offended, and like we were saying earlier, you get the apology, we're all good, right? And then there's the other party, I got the apology, but let me make a martyr of myself and make an opportunity. So that's when you get the lawsuits, the class action for whatever, happened years and years ago, stuff like that. So it just depends on the person, their mentality, and like you said, what's the agenda?
I got into it a few years ago with somebody over that whole Jussie Smollett incident.
Juicy small, yay.
Yeah. When it came out that this seemed to be a staged incident, I was upset, and I was upset because two things. One, the situation where you said that you were attacked and
Yeah.
talked about your sexuality and your race and all the whole nine thing. Okay, those are serious topics. But the police in Chicago, who we know is having a quite a big issue with violence.
Yeah.
You've got the police spending time investigating a false allegation. So my thing was, and this is what the person how it started off. They were like, why are the police trying to prosecute him and trying to prove him wrong? They should be out solving real crime. And my issue was, yes, they should have been. And they would have been
Yep.
had not your boy tried to get some publicity.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a back and forth between, and it's like, you're not understanding. And a lot of times, now obviously this person was a Jussie Smollett fan.
Yeah, true.
And a
It
lot of
impacts
times
it.
that political correctness is used to defend somebody's position.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of saying, well, we need to do this across the board. Well, I'm going to use it to defend my person because
He's a victim.
He's a victim. Well, Diddy. Well, he apologized and he's in a different place now. Now he's Brother Love, and yeah, that don't. We saw on tape.
It's not Brother Love.
We saw on tape.
I've been in fights with dudes where I ain't got hit that hard.
Exactly. Now on the flip side, some people will say, "Well, Cassie just out to get money," and you could say, "Okay." But he established that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Sometimes people establish the Bill Cosby's, all of his accusers. But they just have to get money. Okay, maybe not. But in telling what they told, are they telling any lies about it?
Yep.
So when you start talking about political correctness in those situations, my thing is like, just tell the truth. If you tell the truth, it's not there's no political correctness in telling the truth.
Right. And I think, it's being used to people's advantage, because where was the political correctness when, they were all over Bill Cosby? We didn't know the stories about every interaction that happened.
You won't. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that, he's somewhere saying, man, my feelings was hurt. Writing checks. Here's another one. But I think, part of the idea behind political correctness, it may have come, once we stole it from the Russians and did what we did with it. But, there are some elements, I think, that, of it coming from a good place. However, it has been used to the point where it complicates relationships between different individuals, different ethnic groups. because I never had a problem with different ethnic groups coming up.
Yeah.
But now, you say something that you may consider a joke, but somebody hears it and they take it the wrong way. Now they're offended.
Mhm.
And ultimately people going to get tired of even going out trying to interact. You're like, well, damn, I
Too
can't
much
say
of a
nothing.
risk. Yeah, it's a
Because I don't
liability
know
now.
what's going to offend somebody.
Yep.
When you're out eating dinner, if your waitress is, let's say, I don't know, big and having problems moving, and slow to come over, you can't say nothing. Because if you say something like, why you ain't bring my food? Then she go, oh, you called me fat and, huh? No, you're supposed to be doing your job. I just asked a question, but here it is. I can't speak my mind because you may get offended.
Yep.
And I just don't, to me, it just doesn't make sense because I think that at the end of the day, like I said before, I think political correctness has birthed the cancel culture. And that in and of itself is becoming just almost a joke, because who's to say that you say something nobody likes, they cancel you. Now, all of a sudden, if this is your bread and butter, if you're a comedian, you say a joke, somebody doesn't like, you're canceled. Now you can't make money.
Mhm.
That's your livelihood.
Yep.
You're a comedian.
Well, to me, it even gets deeper than that.
Mhm.
R. Kelly is canceled. So if I'm listening to an R. Kelly song, I'm looked at
You
with
get
a side
eye. Yep.
I'm looking exactly.
Yep.
And I'm gonna say this on the mic, on camera. I listen to R. Kelly, and I'm gonna continue to listen to R. Kelly. I ain't had nothing to do with what he was doing in his private life. That had nothing to
You
do
just
with
like
me.
the song.
So you ain't putting no money in his pocket now. You ain't putting no money on his books, no nothing.
I ain't doing none of that.
You
I'm
wasn't
not
in the
suppo-
video,
but
so.
but I'm gonna tell you something. Chocolate Factory, that was a hot summer. Come on, y'all. You gonna tell me I can't listen to music? I mean, and it particularly, and this is the thing, they brought up all of these other artists back in the day that were messing around with little girls and doing
Jerry Lee
crazy,
Lewis.
Jerry Lee Lewis and Elvis and all of these kind of people that was back in the day doing all kind of things.
But they knew it then,
and
too.
they knew it then,
Yeah.
just like they knew about R. Kelly.
And then think about it. There's stuff, take groupies backstage. There are thousands and millions of so-called groupie stories that we don't even know about and that never will get out there.
And if you go and look at anybody, I'm gonna say anybody, but if you look at a lot of these rock and roll musicians, actors, whatever.
Mhm.
So you're not, if you found out things about these people,
Yeah.
I can't listen to nobody's music.
Nope.
I can't listen to, and I'm even talking, I'm gonna talk about gospel too. It doesn't make a difference. You find out some stuff about these people.
You listen to AM radio.
You're not, you're right. I can't listen to nobody.
Well, just to jump in now, I will not support Will Smith. I can't.
Well,
Can't get jiggy with
I
it.
will.
I can't. As much as I want to see Bad Boys, love me some Martin Lawrence, Will's not getting a part
but you know
of
what?
my dollars.
That's different to me because there are people that I will not support.
Yeah.
But they're not canceled. I, as an individual, say I'm not going to support what they do. So if you're somebody that say I'm not going to support first of all, you listen to R. Kelly's music. He don't even own his music. We found that out when he's trying to get out of jail. So you're not putting no money in his pocket.
Nope. It's just the
by
name.
listening to his music. You can listen to it all day long. It's not helping him. So if it's, and I'm not a Will Smith fan. I don't, and I wasn't before the smack. That's just me. But it's different to say I'm not going to watch their movie. I'm not going to listen to their music, rather than to say they canceled. And
it's
why
a
are
big
you doing
difference.
it?
Yeah,
because
that's a big
you shouldn't be
difference.
doing it because they did this, that, and other. If that's your personal choice, that's fine. And it's just like we were talking about before. If I choose not to patronize a business because of what they did or what I perceived it, that's my choice. And I can tell other people this is why I don't do it, and they can make their own decision. But I can't say you should not do this because, and if you do, then I might cancel you too. It's like that. Come on, people.
Yeah, and you know where that segue leads to if it does progress like that? North Korea. that is where you have supreme being political correctness, where you can't get on social media because you might see something offensive there. You can't dress a certain way. You can't talk a certain way. That's where you head.
And a certain gentleman running for president said he admires that society. Just to throw that in there too.
That's politically
I
correct.
wonder who that could be.
I don't know by chance. I don't know.
Got orange hair, I think.
Oh.
Okay.
Have to look this guy up.
I just thought about this too, in terms of political correctness. Do you think, because it can spill over into to doctrines,
Mm-hmm.
and I say that because do you think that there may or may not be an element of political correctness, or you could use another term for it, in our church or churches?
Yes, but again, what's the term? Because it's, there's separation of church and state, so you take out the political correctness, right?
Right, but
But there still is,
You're saying infiltrated into the church.
yeah, but there still is ways,
yes.
Don't wear your hat in there, don't do this, don't do that. Make
Yeah,
sure
but
you
with
show
that, though,
presentable.
I mean, that's been standard in the black church forever and a day.
Those are social norms.
Yeah.
So I don't know if white churches go through
True.
with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I say that because when you think about it, there could be certain elements of it, certain unspoken rules or whatever the case may be, because, people have been canceled in church.
Yeah. Look
And guess what?
What's
They
going
leave,
on?
They go to another church. You say it's going on now. Wait a
I think
minute.
you've seen some things.
Oh, okay. But
I won't repeat it, but
well, I mean, I'm just saying though, do you think that there could be some element? I mean, because I know we have political correctness in every facet, but it's called different things.
Yeah.
I personally think we can just do away with that particular term because to me, it doesn't elicit anything positive. When you think about political correctness, you automatically, in my opinion, you go to the negative because you're saying, well, I can't say this.
Yeah.
I can't say this.
Well, when you talk about church in particular, I always fall back on this. The Christian church, I'll say. The gospel is meant to be offensive. If you are speaking the teachings of Jesus Christ to and I'll just use the biblical term, to a Gentile audience, they are going to be offended, which is why he was murdered. I mean, that's just what happens.
Jesus wasn't politically correct.
He was not politically. It's like, what are you talking about? What are you saying? You are going against the culture. You are going against the establishment and saying what you're saying to the point where we got to get rid of you. So when a preacher stands up and says things like, and I hate this. Oh, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to get in trouble. What are you talking about? Get in trouble. You're supposed to get in trouble.
I think with that, though, a lot of times that's personal opinion when they say that because it's them feeling a particular way about something.
Okay.
And not necessarily because I think when it comes to the church, you're absolutely right. Gospel, the word is what it is. But then when you got the messenger instituting their own personal opinions in there, then that's where I think sometimes quote unquote political correctness can come into play.
Yeah, it can get dicey.
A good preacher will be able to say, this is what I think. And it may offend some people. I think that in that example of saying, trying not to inject their personal opinion, what that does is you're trying to not stop people from leaving. Because again, people get their feelings hurt, they'll go somewhere else to try to get their feelings massaged.
True.
Now, growing up, preachers said whatever they wanted to say, whether it be opinion, whether it be fact. Again, people had to kind of discern, is this biblical or is this what they think? And you had to work through that. Also, I think political correctness, and this is part of it, has contributed to or is part of the dumbing down of America, which has been happening for the longest time.
Decades.
Yeah. I don't want to look it up. I don't want to do my own research. I don't even want to think. I just want you to tell me what to do.
So I can believe what you tell me.
I just want you to tell me.
Make it short and sweet and easy.
We're canceling Diddy. Okay, we're canceling. I'll get rid of him. We're done. I don't want to look into it. Why? I don't even care. I don't even care. So the same thing, the when people talk about particularly the black church, well, all they want is money. If the pastor gets up there and says, I want everybody in here to give $1,000 once a month. if you do that, that's on you.
Yep.
Exactly.
No
That's
one's-
I don't tell me, well, the pastor said to do. Can you afford to do that?
And see,
it's
here's
optional.
the thing too.
It's-
When you look at that too, historically, Black churches have been a pillar of the Black community.
Yeah.
But now what you see, in my opinion, is church members are treating church like marriages. Like the divorce rate is high. You get offended at church,
Oh, for sure.
I'm on to the
what's
next
the
one.
phrase you hear nowadays? Church hurt.
Yeah.
It's
So
not even
you on.
it's not even a marriage. We dating.
Soon as you see something you
No,
don't
that's-
like, I'm
that's-
gone.
red
That's
flag.
speed
I'm
dating.
gone.
Red flag. I'm out.
I just went to visit
Wait
this
a minute,
church.
and you never tithed in your life. But as soon as preacher say something you don't like, see, that's why I don't go to church.
That's-
All they want is money.
I had that conversation just yesterday.
But you can speak in.
And I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
So, just the whole idea of us being politically correct, to me, I wish we could. Fam, if you watched before, I'm a blow it up type person. Get the word out of here. Let's find some other way to move forward. Because again, it just has a negative connotation as far as I'm concerned. And the fact that it derived from Russia and their communist regime should tell you right there, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, and even
But
Not in a democracy. It's not supposed to be.
Exactly. But see, here it is, Carl, just like you were saying, America is dumbing down. So instead of us coming up with our own ideas, we say, hey, let's take that over there.
Mhm.
That ain't ours, but let's take it. Hey, this land ain't ours. Let's take it. Okay.
kind of
Jack
a norm.
Daniels. Hey, Nearest, come here. What's that you making? You making whiskey? Yeah, let me see that.
Got a good
I'm gonna
point.
put my name on it because it looks better. But here's $1.
So y'all go ahead and look. Please, family, look up the history of Jack Daniels and Uncle Nearest, and y'all know what we talking about. But
Yeah, so-
just know that Jack Daniels stole that whiskey recipe, and now everybody in his family is billionaires. But anyway, that's another story.
I digress.
So, when we talk about political correctness and moving forward, Brandon, what do you think needs to take place in order for us to get on the right side of political correctness? Or do we just do what we can to make everybody comfortable? Do you feel like, okay, you're infringing upon my right to speak freely? I'm going to say what I want to say as long as I say it the right way. If you get offended, let's have a conversation instead of you just telling me you were offended and leaving it at that.
My personal opinion, I would throw it in the garbage and just live by a simple be kind, right? That takes out all the problems that you have with political correctness. Because we've been talking about, take the historical aspect. Where did this come from? Russia. You dive back a little bit more. Who else had that agenda? Hitler. To be a politically correct human, you had to have blue hair and blonde eyes. So if you want to take that standard and copy it now, nobody in this room is politically correct. Then if you go, like Carl was saying with the Bible, Jesus was hanging out with thieves and prostitutes. But yet Jesus is Jesus, one of the greatest man to walk this earth. That's what we should be trying to follow. I'm sure we agree with that. And Jesus, I don't remember him anything. Well, of course, the term wasn't around, but he didn't speak of anything like political correctness. So should we aspire for that, So just a simple, forget it. That's not in my vocabulary. Be kind, do the right thing, be courteous. And shouldn't life just flow easier? That's my 2 cents. I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's what I throw out there.
Hey, Carl?
No, I agree. I think that societal norms we don't gather like we used to. I think that in this society we've become very, very siloed in our own individuality. Everybody's an individual, and which is it's always been the case.
Yeah.
But we used to be together and commune with one another. We've got things where we've talked about, classrooms are shrinking and people are doing homeschooling now, and they're doing all these other type of alternative educational, means to try to say, okay, I want to educate my child the way I want them to learn this thing. And it's like, okay, I get that, but there needs to be some kind of socialization too. And in that socialization, you're going to kind of get into that societal norm, like we know what to say, what not to say. If we are, and most children, I would say, are good people. They get corrupted throughout their life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to want to hurt each other's feelings.
Yeah.
They're going to want to be more sensitive. They're going to want to be more inquisitive and learn, well, why does this hurt your feelings, or what is wrong, going on with you, and they'll figure that part out. I think now, as an adult in this era, we have to take away the political correctness, blow it up, because we still have to be able to speak truth to power. And we're not speaking truth to power because we're scared of how that might sound or who it might offend. But on the other side, power can say whatever they want,
Mm-hmm.
Bingo.
whether it be truth or not.
Feelings be damned.
And you're going to have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the white supremacist society will take a Donald Trump and say, I love his tough talk. He's a tough talking guy, and he's going to do it. And he won't, but he just sounds good saying what he says.
Mm-hmm.
You take somebody that says he's a liar, and this is what's really going on. Well, we can't talk about that.
That's offensive.
So here we are, being the majority, not being able to speak that truth to power, and just kind of sitting back and just say, okay, we're going to, I think it was Zora Neale Hurston who said, if you don't speak up, they'll kill you and say that you enjoyed it.
There you go.
So I blow it up. Say what you want to say. If feelings get hurt, they're going to have to deal with it. But
Scorched earth, like Eugene says.
Well, and I think there is room, I get maybe the idea of political correctness, would have come from a good place depending upon how it was derived. But ultimately, you have to be able to speak your mind. And again, we don't have to be emotional about it. However, you can be passionate.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have to find a way to clearly articulate how we're feeling. And that goes both ways, because if I offend somebody and you tell me, well, Eugene, you offended me. Okay, well, how did I offend you?
There you go.
You can't just say you offended me. You shouldn't have said that. Well, let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah, start a dialogue.
Tell me why you were offended. I don't have a problem with apologizing because, Carl, to your point, nobody wants to offend folks. But again, I don't want you coming back at me throwing daggers because you said I offended you. And I'm saying to myself, well, I was just speaking my mind, because there's room for improvement on both sides.
Oh, yeah.
If you say I offended you, then maybe I can find a different, more respectful, kind way to say what I said. But even, when it goes back to raising kids, children are innocent. And Carl, you're absolutely right. Society corrupts them. But if we can teach our kids coming up, just be respectful, be kind. If someone hurts your feelings, you have to be able to tell that person how they hurt your feelings. To me, just saying I hurt your feelings, that's not enough. And then moving forward as a society, there are some things that we have to deal with on a daily basis. Hell, if I walked around telling people how much they offended me, I wouldn't get my work done. And Carl, to your point, society is siloed now, and maybe that's part of the reason. I don't want to go out the house because I don't want nobody to offend me. I don't want to get offended. So I'm going to stay in the house and, do my thing, work from home.
And how does that work out?
Exactly.
Tons of fun.
So, I think ultimately, there is always room for improvement. We, can do what we can do, but that's it. But we have to be able to clearly communicate to one another. Hiding behind this moniker of political correctness. I think people use it as an excuse, and now that it's seeped into, society, corporate America, your job, things of that nature, I don't see how you can be 100% productive if you're worried about not being able to speak to your coworker because y'all cool and y'all hang out a particular way because somebody else might hear it and get offended. So in my opinion, there's no amount of sensitivity classes that you can take, no matter how they try to just ram DEI down our throats. At the end of the day, it is what it is. So, fam, everybody, you have a decision to make. If you're fine with political correctness and you're fine with, your freedom of speech being suppressed, then have at it. But ultimately, the three of us are in agreement by saying that you can say what you want to. You should be able to say what you want to, saying it in a respectful and kind way. And people, whenever you're offended, find the right way to tell somebody while you're offended or why you are offended. And we can go a lot further as a society. Lastly, let me say, let's get out and vote, because I don't think we want this guy back in office. And y'all know who I'm talking about. So until next time, stay prayerful, stay positive, stay patient, stay peaceful. Thanks.